Hey, how are we doing, guys? Gray here, and today we've got our week 1 battle of the UPA. We're going up against Talyn and his Atlanta Braviaries. And before we get into this, let's quickly go over the team we drafted, because I did do a draft recap. And yeah, it's a really fun team. So we've got Chi-Yu, Dragonite, Goldengo, Quaquaval, Clodsire, Gardevoir, Jolteon, Mousehold, Avalugg, and Lurantis. Our Terramons are Dragonite with Flying and Normal, and Jolteon with Electric and Ice. Fairly standard, but also very, very good. Dragonite is basically like a win button with Terra Normal sometimes, and having the Ice coverage on Jolteon is really, really good as well. Went back and forth over Ice or Grass. I may regret going Ice over Grass, because our week 1 has actually got a Quagsire, and been really nice to have that Grass, but yeah, we're going with Ice. Hopefully it doesn't end up being an issue for us, but if you are excited for a new season coming off that BBR Championship, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and check out my opponent as well. Talyn's a really, really great guy, deserves all the love in the world, so make sure to go check him out. And let's get ahead and get into this. So we are bringing a Choice Specs Dragonite, we are bringing an Assault Vest Chi-Yu, a specially defensive Clodsire, Trick Toxic Orb, Goldengo, a Scarf, Gardevoir, which is fairly standard, and then okay, so I will admit here, the item, I thought, you know what, I haven't actually tested Punching Glove as to whether or not it actually acts like protective pads, and if you use any physical move, it will be able to protect you or not. So I was like, fuck it, let's do it for science. And I put a Punching Glove on Mousehold. We're going to find out during this game, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Punching Glove does not work like protective pads. Quick PSA, it doesn't. It only works for punching moves. If you use U-turn or Population Bomb, bad things happen. Okay, so yeah. Talyn has bought the Flutter main, Quagsire, Iron Hands, Gengar, Cryogonal, and the Torkoal, the Chi-Yu. Chi-Yu actually is there as a secondary, or I guess his primary job now is going to be checking Flutter main. It does an okay job of that. It should be able to beat it 1v1. I did expect the Cryogonal, but actually it makes like a decent amount of sense against my special attackers. And Gengar is his Terra Captain with Ghost or Fighting. That thing is going to be terrifying, hence the Clodsire. We can take basically any two attacks that aren't Choice Specs Psychic. The lead is always going to be the same. No matter what, I was going to lead off with Choice Specs Dragonite. I'm going to Terra Flying. I'm just going to click Hurricane, because like that just does the most damage to everything on his team. He leads off with the Quagsire, which I thought was a bit of an interesting one. You don't often see the Quagsire lead, but maybe it was to set up hazards. As of course we are just going to lead with our Dragonite. The game plan, very, very simple. Like I said, we're just going to Terra Flying, we're going to click Hurricane, and we're hopefully going to pick up a kill. Cryogonal does get 2-hit KO'd, I believe, by modest Choice Specs Hurricane. So we'll see if it comes in. But it said it's going to be the Torkoal, and this Torkoal doesn't have the sun. So yeah, this is a Shell Armor Torkoal, and it's if I hit, it's going to fall over. We do land, and yeah, this Torkoal is just going to drop. So 6v5 after the first turn is absolutely ideal as a as a start to this game. And yeah, in comes the Iron Hands. I was a little bit surprised not to see Cryogonal come in, but this also makes sense. As he actually reveals the Fake Out. I assume this is probably going to be Assault Vest the way he brought it in. But regardless, we should be able to take a Thunder Punch from here. I don't know about Wild Charge actually from memory, but we are going to land a second Hurricane. We do have the Confusion chance as well. So yeah, we're going to land. It does just under half, so yes, definitely is going to be Assault Vest. I would assume it's also probably quite Spadef as well. And we do get a Confusion. However, fortunately, he is actually going to just break through the Confusion, gets off a Thunder Punch. We would not have lived a Wild Charge, I can tell you that much. And I'm fairly happy just to kind of trade my Dragonite here for the damage on Iron Hands. This was honestly one of the biggest threats to my team. So I was more than happy to try and trade my Dragonite for damage on this. And in comes a Cryogonal, so we're going to see whether or not it 2-hit KOs. However, it's going to miss. We're bound to miss one. 1 in 3. Can't complain. I have an incredibly good switch in to this morning Goldengo, so I'm going to go out into it, and I'm just going to go with the Trick Toxic Orb. This was initially planned for a Wo-Chen that didn't turn up, allowing me to 1v1 that a little bit easier. It can also catch a Quagsire that I assume is going to be specially defensive because he switched out turn 1. But instead it's going to be the Iron Hands that comes in. Makes sense, it's Assault Vest. So yeah, we're going to be able to Toxic this, and again, we're weakening this. It now dies to another Hurricane after a couple of rounds of the Toxic. So we're actually positioning Dragonite pretty well. If we can get a Healing Wish off later with our Gardevoir, we're in a really good spot with it. Now I have to think whether or not I want to take the damage on my Goldengo here, whether I want to switch out into something else to take this hit. I assume an Earthquake's coming out, but I'm not going to risk my Dragonite at this point because, like I say, with a Healing Wish, that thing comes back up to full and we're in a really good spot. I think about going out into Gardevoir just to be able to take the Earthquake and then immediately either threaten them out or pick up the kill with Psyshock, but in the end, I'm just going to stay in with Goldengo. Go for the Shadow Ball, which puts him in range of a second Shadow Ball after the Toxic damage. And we are going to take a fairly big hit. Yeah, Goldengo's going to take a lot of damage, but you know, Mr. Strings, he's done his job. He's going to get this kill on the Iron Hands with a second Shadow Ball. And in comes the Gengar, and we have our switch in. And here I'm hoping that he's going to be Terra Fighting, so he won't be able to potentially 2-hit KO me with a Spec Shadow Ball. The only way that Shadow Ball actually is able to 2-hit KO me is going to be through Terra Ghost and Choice Specs. And unfortunately he is going to be Terra Ghost, and he is also going to be Choice Specs. So yeah, we are going to get absolutely smacked by this Shadow Ball. But Clodsire is still a thick boy, and he's able to live on 96. Like, it's just over half, but I don't want to take a potential roll here. I'd rather just, you know, use that momentum knowing that he is Choice Specs. If he doubles predicting me to switch, then that's a great play, but if he just attacks, try and pick off my Clodsire, I'm going to go out into my Mouse Hold. Because I want to preserve Chi-Yu, I think it's probably best for me to just go into this instead of Chi-Yu. And we're going to click U-turn because there's no way he's going to stay in, surely, with a Gengar that's locked into a Ghost move, so we're going to U-turn. And this is where we realise that the Punching Glove does not save you from Rocky Helmet, so unfortunate, but we know that. We've done it, so nobody else has to. And with this free pivot, it just makes sense to go out with Dragonite. He doesn't really defend very well against it, so I'm going to take full advantage of it whilst it's still alive. And if this is physically defensive, not specially defensive, then a Terra Blast will just one-shot it from this range. If he is specially defensive, we do get that information, but he is going to switch out and go out into his Cryogonal, which is honestly a fair switch. It's pretty free at this point. But every time this comes in, I just get Goldengo again. This Terra Blast does very respectable damage, so I don't think it's particularly Spadef. It looks probably like more offensive. And like I said, Goldengo is just a free switch, so we're going to go ahead, go into Goldengo, and Make It Rain now looks incredibly free against his team. So we take the Freeze Dry without any problem. We don't get frozen, which is always ideal. And throw off a Make It Rain. If he stays in, then this is one of those Dragonite answers gone. I say one of, probably his only Dragonite answer gone at this point. He actually reveals the Ice Shard, which is a very interesting tech. It does all of 2 damage. That wasn't meant as BM, but it did nothing to Goldengo. And yeah, Make It Rain, easily going to pick up the KO on Cryogonal. So my mons that were weakened or crippled early on are still putting in the work, Goldengo and Dragonite. However, I think this might be the end of the line for our Goldengo here. I don't want him to set up, so I'm just going to go for a Make It Rain. If he kills me, he kills me. But Flutter is an absolute demon, so yeah, we're not going to mess around with this threat. And we are going to go down to the Shadow Ball. But at least he didn't Calm Mind, so yeah, we have a chance. And he actually reveals Life Orb. And with this, we're going to go into our Chi-Yu. There's not a lot now on his team that defends against Chi-Yu. He has Flutter Mane, he has Gengar, and he has Quagsire. Knowing we can quite comfortably take a Moonblast, we're going to go for a Flame Charge and just boost our speed so we're faster than Gengar and faster than Flutter Mane. Obviously faster than Quagsire, that will definitely matter. As he actually goes for the Calm Mind, and this is a little bit scary because now we aren't able to just knock it out with a Dark Pulse afterwards. So we might have to risk the Fire Blast. Flame Charge actually does really respectable damage. And instead I go for Dark Pulse. I can get a flinch, but also after the Life Orb damage, it's also going to 100% knock it out, regardless of its bulk. And we take that Moonblast with ease. That was a Life Orb +1 Flutter Mane Moonblast, and we just chewed it. And we're going to pick off the Flutter Mane with that. Chi-Yu, who says it can't be defensive. So in comes the Quagsire. We're just going to click Dark Pulse again. Don't see much of a point in keeping this around. I guess maybe if Gengar locks itself into Focus Blast, but we're able to get a flinch on the Quagsire as it does live, and this just kind of seals the game. We're faster than everything. There is not a hope in hell, even at -1, that Gengar can live this hit. And yeah, we just go for the Dark Pulse, we pick up the kill, and a 5-0 win on week 1 of the UPA. A great start. The flinch definitely helped me preserve some differential, because I would have probably had to have gone into Dragonite to finish that off, and then seen what he locked himself into, and if it was Shadow Ball, then obviously Mouse Hold comes in, it clicks Bite, and it picks up the kill, but if he clicks something else, like Sludge Wave, we would have had to have played around it differently. But yeah, good game to Talyn. Make sure to go check him out. His link will be down in the description below, hopefully. I think there's a paste for it. And yeah, that was a really fun game to start off with. Specs Dragonite went absolutely crazy. The Toxic Orb didn't quite work out how I wanted to on the Goldengo, but we brought some heat, I think, a little bit. And it definitely worked out. The Assault Vest, Chi-Yu, absolutely just stopping that Flutter main in its tracks was so cool to see. And if you did enjoy the battle, please do leave a like and subscribe. The support is greatly appreciated. If you want to unsub at any time, of course you can, it's free. And yeah, until the next one, have a great day, guys. Peace.